Today we're going to be talking about the zero product property. The zero product property is a mathematical definition for when we multiply numbers. So what does that mean? The zero product property, excuse me, is talking about if we have two numbers, any numbers, a times b, and if these numbers equal 0, we know either a or b is going to be equal to 0. So why is this important? Good question. So this is important in quadratics when we're in factored form. Remember factored form looks something, I'll give you an example, is x plus 3 in parentheses times x minus 1. So this is a factored form quadratic we've been talking about. And our goal is to make this equal to 0. In other forms, in other words, we have a graph. I don't really know what this looks like. We could graph it or not. This basically says we're trying to find the function where it crosses the x-axis. So we have talked about zeros, roots, or solutions. So these are all terms for solving when y equals 0 or when the graph intercepts the x-axis. So how do we set this equal to 0? We're just going to split these into two different equations, and then we're going to solve each individually for x, setting them equal to 0. So the first one will look like x plus 3 is equal to 0. From algebra, we're just going to subtract 3 to the other side. Subtract 3. X equals negative 3. If we do the same for our other parentheses, x minus 1 equals 0, and x equals 1. I'm not going to show work there. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So our zero product property, in this case, or solving for our zeros, our roots, our solutions, in this case, is x is negative 3 and 1. Okay, we are going to move on to another example. So be sure to write that down. I'm not erase it right now. I'm going to keep the top here, so it's helpful. Write another example. So another way we could have, we're just going to do a similar one, pretty straightforward. X plus 5, and then we're going to have x plus 2, excuse me, x plus 2, and we're going to set these equal to 0. We want y to be equal to 0, so that's what the other side of the equation is. We're going to separate these into two different forms. X plus 5 is equal to 0. We'll subtract the other side, x is negative 5. And then we'll do the same for the other equation, x plus 2 is 0. So we have x equals negative 2. So for our solutions, we have negative 5 and negative 2. So again, we're just breaking up the parts of the factored form, which is this right here. This is factored form. And we're setting each one equal to 0 to find its solutions, its roots, its zeros, also when y is equal to 0. We'll do 2 more. That'll be the end. Hope you wrote that down. If you didn't, you can always rerun the video. All right, so what if we have like x times x plus 4? That's an x right here. So you're like, oh, I'm not really sure what to do. So let's start with the parentheses. We know if one thing is equal to 0, if we know the whole thing is equal to 0, we just need to set one part of it equal to 0. So we're going to do x plus 4 is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. Subtract. So x is negative 4. So we plug in negative 4 over x. We're going to get 0. But there's also another solution. So I want you to think for a few seconds. How can we make the other side equal to 0? If we set x equal to 0, we'll find the whole solution will be equal to 0. 0 times 4, like 0 for x, we'll have 0 times 4, that's going to be 4. So our solutions of that one will be -4 and 0. All right, we're going to do one more quick one, and then we will end the video. Hope this was helpful. Again, rewind if you need that example. It's a feature of YouTube. So last one. This is kind of both the last one that we've done and a new concept, the zero product property. So it's not so simple. It has a 2x, it has a 3x in here. We're just going to do the middle. We're going to do the parentheses part. We're going to do 2x minus 1. Set that to equal to 0. We know zero product property. If one of our pieces of the puzzle, our multiples, our multiplication, one of the numbers is 0, the whole equation will be equal to 0. So using what we know about algebra, we move over the 1, divide by 2, x will be 1/2. And then we have 3x. If we want 3x to be equal to 0, we'll just make 3x equal to 0. Because if one part is equal to 0, the whole part is equal to 0. And then we could divide by 3, but dividing 0 by 3 is just 0. We'll just get x is 0. And here is our solution for the last one. I hope this was helpful and helped you learn something new. Zero product property. Thanks.